Sitting at the receipt of custom. Matthew 9:9. Continuing on after that, and he says to him, follow me. Mark 2:14. And said to him, follow me. He is in Matthew, not in Mark. Luke 5:27. And he said to him, follow me. And from all three. He from Matthew and Luke, now gray again, said to him, now in red, all three, follow me. And he arose and followed him. And he arose and followed him. And he left all, rose up and followed him. Okay, so and from all three. He also, from all three. Left all is only from Luke. Rose up is only from Luke. Mark says arose. Matthew says arose. I know that earlier when I had Jesus telling the man who was lowered down from the roof to get up and walk, I actually have him say, arise, take up your bed and walk. And that was also the same as his question earlier. But then when I have him got up, I used the word he rose up in order to have something fresh, something changed, so that it's not repetitive and boring. Here, I think though I want to keep arose just because Jesus only said follow him. It'll still be new, and the word arose is used twice, where rose up is only used once. Arose. Just to be different. Luke has a comma after rose up. The other two don't. I think I'll just leave it without. I'll keep it the way Matthew and Mark say. Oh, arose has a comma after it also. In that case, I'll use that from Matthew and Luke. It'll be orange. But then the rest of it is in gray. And followed him, and followed him, and followed him. Yeah. Now, the follow-up of Matthew, Levi, following Jesus. He makes a feast. Jesus goes to his house, eats with sinners and tax collectors, and is questioned as to why he's eating with them and why he's not fasting. So Matthew chapter 9, verse 10. And it came to pass, as Jesus sat at meat in the house. Mark 2:15. And it came to pass that as Jesus sat at meat in his house. Pretty much the same. Luke 5:29. And Levi made him a great feast in his own house. And there was a great company of publicans and others that sat down with them. Okay, that should come first. He made a feast, and then I can possibly go back to Matthew, Mark, and say, as he was eating at the feast, he was questioned. And Levi made him a great feast in his own house. And it came to pass, behold me. Yeah, that's how I could do it. So, I'm not going to repeat what scribes and the Pharisees murmured against his disciples, saying why they eat and drink. In Luke, it doesn't. Oh, it does. Levi made him, capital H, a great feast in his own house. So it's not just that Jesus was eating there. It's not just that they had a feast. It's that Matthew, Levi had a feast specifically for him. So I'm just going to start with what I know. Luke only, and Levi made him a great feast. In his house is the next three words, which are also used in Matthew and Mark. But I don't know if I want to repeat that. I wonder where to put as Jesus sat at meat in his house. I guess I could save in his house until later, after I mention that Jesus is there sitting. I could say, so, and Levi made him a great feast, and as Jesus sat at meat in his house, it came to pass. Or maybe I should just continue on with after, and Levi made him a great feast, then go right back to the beginning of Matthew and Mark. And it came to pass that as Jesus sat at meat in his house. I could do that. Levi made him a great feast. And it came to pass that as Jesus sat at meat in his house. Or I could say in his own house first, and then add after that, and it came to pass that as Jesus sat at meat. No, actually I'm thinking now, maybe I should start with and it came to pass, then have Levi made him a great feast. Then continue back with Matthew, Mark, as Jesus sat at meat, or and as Jesus sat at meat. Yeah, that's what I'll do. And it came to pass that. I could put that from Mark. Yeah, that's what I'll do. That from Mark only. But I won't put that comma because that would be annoying. It means that I'll have to put that space as yellow. That would actually be perfect for saving that comma for later. And it came to pass that Levi made him a great feast. I definitely want to put in his own house. In his own house. In his house is in Matthew, Mark. In his house. In the house. So I'll say in from all three. His from Mark and own from Luke. In his... Actually, this is Mark and Luke, so it's dark yellow. Own from Luke only. House from all three. Now I have to put as Jesus sat at meat, because not only Did Matthew make the feast? Jesus is there. During the feast, he's questioned. Maybe I could just use an and from Matthew or Mark, because in Luke, it doesn't quite work. And Levi made him a great feast. And there was a great company of publicans. Actually, no, I could use that and. Behold, many publicans. I would still need an and there. No, I couldn't. I could just say, and as Jesus sat at meat, behold, many publicans. So I could use this and from Luke. Yeah. And as Jesus sat at meat, as from Mark. That phrase is not mentioned in Luke, that Jesus sat at meat. Matthew, as Jesus sat at meat. So both Matthew and Mark. As Jesus sat at meat. Now after this, it goes on to say, in his house, in Mark, many publicans and sinners sat also together with Jesus and his disciples. Matthew says, behold, many publicans and sinners came and sat down with him and his disciples. I could do that. Behold, I could do both. Behold, many publicans and sinners came and sat also down. Sat also down. Yeah. Or also sat down together with Jesus and his disciples. Luke, and there was a great company of publicans and of others that sat down with them. And there was a great company of publicans. Well, not just that there was. Well, sat down with them. And there was a great company. No, that's not as good a beginning. I want to start with, behold, many, as it does in Matthew and Mark. Behold, many publicans and sinners. Maybe instead of many, I could say from Luke, a great company. Yeah, more descriptive. Behold, a great company of publicans and sinners. Maybe I could put publicans and sinners and of others. Well, who else would there be? Everyone's a sinner. Okay, well, I'll just start with that. I know that there's that comma from Matthew and then the word behold from Matthew. So I'll start with Matthew now. Behold, a great company. That's right, a great company from Luke. I'm not going to put there was, because I'm going to say that they arrived. Because if I just say there was, it's like I'm skipping over the fact that they came to sit down. So, behold, a great company of, it just goes to many publicans and sinners in Matthew and Mark. Publicans and Matthew, publicans and sinners. Mark, publicans and. So publicans and is all three. Sinners from Matthew, Mark, came and sat down. Luke, it just says that sat down with them. Matthew says that they came and sat down, so I definitely want to put that. Mark says, Mark 2:15, sat also together. Came and also sat down. So I'm going to start with came from Matthew, came and from Matthew. So I could put sat also down together or also sat down together. I don't think I want to do that, the latter one, also. Because in Matthew, and sat down with him, is how it goes. In Mark, it says sat also together. So it would make sense if I have also before sat. So I could say also sat down instead of also. I could say sat also down, but this word at the end, together, makes that kind of awkward. So if I say also sat down together, that would make it fit. So from Mark, also. Sat is from Matthew. Mark, is it in Luke as well? Yeah, it is. Sat down, also sat. So sat from all three. So sat is gray. Down from Matthew, Luke, orange. Yep, that's fine. Down together is from Mark only. With Jesus and his disciples. With him and his disciples. So I'd say with Jesus and his disciples. Sat down with them. So with is from all three. Jesus is only from Mark and his disciples. That's not in Luke. No, just them. And his disciples and his, Matthew and Mark. Dark red. And his disciples. Matthew ends there. Mark has another sentence. For there were many and they followed him. I might put that. Luke just goes right into the question. But their scribes and Pharisees murmured against his disciples. Matthew, and when the Pharisees saw it, they said to his disciples, wow, okay, question. So I'm definitely putting this extra verse from Mark only. But there were many and they followed him. Okay.